And it looks like it's still under construction.
Yes, it's being restored, and there's going to be a Wilberforce crypt. So it's practical in one sense, but I should think he saw the sense of a lasting memorial. This is the one thing he's going to do with his closing years, is create a church.
So where did his life's work, where did the slave trade fit in with his religious beliefs?
Well, he said that God Almighty had appointed him to two great campaigns, to the Reformation of Manners, which was devoted to discouraging drunkenness and gambling, and to promote the Sabbath, and also to abolition. So he saw the two things as stemming from the one source. They were both his mission from God.
In essence, what did Wilberforce do for the emancipation movement?
Not a lot, to be honest. Of course, he fervently supported the campaign, but he was wheeled out on occasions as a figurehead. Really, he would address meetings, he would lead petitions, but he certainly didn't have the driving role that he had in earlier years. He just left it to the younger generation.
And a very powerful figurehead.
He was, I think, yes. He was a tremendously popular figure. I suppose already he had become someone whose name was attached to the campaign more than any other, because it was always he who was in the papers, because he was the one who spoke in Parliament and the speeches got reported.
So in effect, did he free the slaves?
No, you couldn't say that Wilberforce freed the slaves.
The campaign to finally abolish slavery was now driven by anti-slavery groups in most British cities. I went to Birmingham to learn about the leader of one such group from the historian Catherine Hall.
So I'm hoping we'll find it in here. Let's see, yes, there it is. Here's Joseph Sturge, who was a Birmingham corn merchant. He was a Quaker, and he was a leading figure in the struggle against slavery. And Sturge believed that it was only the people who could win emancipation, that they would have to force the government, that, it was never going to come easily.
And did he, in fact, achieve? Was he an effective leader?
He was an effective leader. He was. He was one amongst several. So he was the big person in Birmingham, but there were lots of other people over the country. And, what I'd want to stress is that without the agency of black people, this wouldn't have happened. But certainly without the political activities of all the people in Britain, it wouldn't have happened either. So it's a combined struggle. It's a shared heritage.
Wilberforce was old and frail when a bill to abolish slavery was passed in 1833. The plantation owners got £20 million compensation. The enslaved got nothing, and emancipation would actually take another 5 years. Wilberforce died within days of the bill finally being passed.
I think we need to place Wilberforce in his context, and I think the production of him as an icon is frankly very unhelpful, because I think it's associated with the claim that the abolition movement was simply a movement driven by moral force, and that what it demonstrated was how progressive, how forward-looking, how liberal Britons were. And it enabled people to not see the aspects of exploitation and degradation that went on long after slavery, because we'd done this good thing.
How can that help Britain today to remember her history?
Because we have to take responsibility for what we did, just as the Germans have to know and remember and take in what the Holocaust was in order to move beyond it. So we have to understand that that's our history. And it's not a history that's just to do with black people. It's a history that is fundamentally to do with white people.
Are they supposed to walk around feeling guilty?
No, guilt takes us nowhere, but understanding takes us a long way.
I've travelled thousands of miles and met many different people who think it's time to re-examine history. I've also heard from those who think Wilberforce is a hero, and I can see why. He was a deeply religious man of his time and the much-needed voice of the campaign in Parliament. Yet I'm equally impressed by the countless men and women across Britain, Africa and the Caribbean who demanded freedom and justice for all. If Wilberforce is remembered as the conscience of the nation, surely they should be remembered as the conscience of the world.